무섭게 할 수 있는 거 알지? 우리 말고도 네 사람이 더 있다는 얘기지.
Inside a hospital operating room, a young man lies barely alive on the table, having signed off his body for full organ donation. Before the surgery could begin, something drove him to attempt the unthinkable. Now, doctors scramble to salvage what they can. His body is unusually rigid, but the surgical team manages to extract 6 vital organs. Then, unexpectedly, his body disintegrates and vanishes into dust. This is high five. Later, we meet Won-so, a girl recovering from a heart transplant, who is accompanied by her father Jong-min during a follow-up checkup. The doctor is puzzled. Most patients experience severe side effects after heart surgery, but Won-so appears completely stable. She does not fully understand the doctor's concerns. All she wants is to leave the hospital and return her life. Jong-min takes her for a quick stop at a barbecue restaurant before heading home. At the restaurant, Jong-min questions Won-so about the strange tattoo on her wrist and her plans after the hospital. Won-so explains that the mark appeared after surgery and might just be a side effect. She then shares her plan to return to Taekwondo training. Jong-min immediately refuses, fearing the risks because of the family's history of heart disease. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, a woman named Chun-hwa cares for her father Yang-chun, who recently received a pancreas transplant. However, Chun-hwa's care is only a front. She secretly wishes for Yang-chun's death, eager to claim his fortune and take his place as the spiritual leader of his followers. Medically, Yang-chun should not survive the transplant at his age. Yet against all odds, he regains consciousness, healthier than before, with the same tattoo now etched on his wrist. Back at Jong-min's dojo, Won-so struggles with boredom, unable to train. A loan shark arrives to collect overdue rent, so Jong-min hands his wallet to Won-so and tells her to go home and buy shoes. Before she leaves, Won-so teaches a younger student a spinning kick, demonstrating the move with a single strike that shatters the punching bag, stunning everyone. Her father misses the moment entirely and remains unaware of what happened. Later, still trying to understand her sudden strength, Won-so tests herself by sprinting uphill near the dojo with incredible speed. She shocks a delivery courier who happens to witness it. Her abilities are growing, and she wants to discover why. Meanwhile, Chun-hwa warns her father to avoid oily food, concerned about his new pancreas. However, Yang-chun shrugs off the advice. Since the transplant, he feels stronger and more energetic than ever before. Suspicious of these changes, Chun-hwa visits Dr. Song-nun to seek answers. The doctor explains that such improvement is medically impossible, though if the donor possessed exceptional physical traits, a rare chance of 0.1% might explain it. Elsewhere, a young man watches a viral video recorded by a courier's camera. The footage accidentally captures Won-so sprinting at superhuman speed. Intrigued, he visits her dojo. When he tries to film her secretly, Won-so notices. The two talk and discover they both underwent organ transplants and developed powers. The man, Ji-sung, received a lung transplant and can now control wind through absorption, unlike Won-so's physical strength. Ji-sung warns Won-so to keep her powers secret, especially from her father. He believes others may have developed abilities too. They must find the remaining 4 recipients, and the transplant sports meeting in Seoul could hold the key. Meanwhile, another recipient named Gi-dong discovers his own power. After receiving new corneas, he can manipulate electronics with a simple snap. Later, Won-so and Ji-sung arrive at the transplant event and scan the crowd for signs of other recipients. They focus on a drink vendor named Shan-yo, who says her health improved dramatically after a kidney transplant. When they ask to see her arms, no tattoo appears, but when she crouches, the mark becomes visible on her lower back. They invite Shan-yo to dinner. To earn her trust, Won-so and Ji-sung demonstrate their powers. Shan-yo is amazed, but still unsure of what her ability might be. Then Gi-dong joins them, casually showing off his electromagnetic wave control by switching devices on and off with ease. He can even identify the others by their energy signatures. Shan-yo and Won-so welcome Gi-dong eagerly, but Ji-sung feels less enthusiastic. Overwhelmed by Gi-dong's abilities, he chooses to walk away. Meanwhile, inside Yang Chun's grand hall, Chunhua and his assistant Bing Nam oversee preparations for a public appearance. Bing Nam, tired of Yang Chun's lies and manipulation, plans to take control of everything, including the drug business disguised as a pharmaceutical company. Tensions rise and a fight breaks out. In the heat of the moment, Yang Chun accidentally unleashes his hidden power. Fully aware of his ability now, Yang Chun discovers he can drain the lifespan of any living thing, from people to plants. Elsewhere in the building, Yak Shan, the foreman in charge of setup, pushes his workers to keep working without breaks. To him, Yang Chun is a god. Labor rights are the last thing on his mind. Moments later, chaos erupts at the construction site when a worker falls and breaks a bone. The safety alarm blares loudly. Yakshan quickly orders everyone to clear out, saying he will handle alone. What they do not know is that Yakshan is also a transplant recipient. He has the power to heal others with a touch, but afterward, he needs to drink large amounts of water to recover. Meanwhile, Chunhua rushes to Dr. Song Nun, shaken after witnessing her father's deadly power. However, the doctor dismisses her claims as nonsense, thinking she is delusional. Chunhua is not fazed that, if Song Nun will not listen, she will find the truth on her own by tracking the rest of the recipients. Elsewhere, Wonso helps Ji-sung train his wind-blowing ability using a flute. After the session, they rest, and Ji-sung casually asks if she has any friends. Wonso explains that after spending a year in the hospital, she lost touch with everyone. Her father controls every move she makes, even monitoring her heart through a watch. Ji-sung sympathizes, but reminds her that their real focus should be finding anyone misusing these powers before it is too late. Not long after, Shanyo bursts in, eager to show off what she believes is her superpower. But the demonstration falls flat, leaving Wonso and Ji-sung unimpressed. Shanyo grows self-conscious. Her tattoo is just an empty circle, unlike theirs. Still, she hopes that one day she will awaken a true power and use it to help others. Suddenly, all three receive a message from Gi-dong. He is in trouble at a gambling house. Apparently, he has won too many jackpots, and the owner wants payback. Ji-sung arrives first, but instead of helping, he simply asks to use the restroom. Then Wonso and Shanyo arrive and demand Gi-dong's release. The gambling boss, Jae-hong, refuses, furious over the losses. Surprisingly, Ji-sung sides with Jae-hong, accusing Gi-dong of cheating the system and saying it is time he learn a lesson. As Ji-sung turns to leave, Wonso jams Shanyo's straw into his nose. The irritation triggers his sneeze and unleashes his wind power, giving them the opening they need to escape. They run, but Jae-hong's men and Chunhwa's team are already outside. Thinking fast, Wonso pushes Shanyo's drink cart to block two oncoming cars. Ji-sung joins in, blasting bottles through the air at their pursuers. After the chase, the group ends up at a barbecue restaurant. Outside, Ji-sung lashes out at Gi-dong, blaming him for everything. He says he could track the last two recipients without Gi-dong, but lets him handle the dirty work to avoid legal trouble. Gi-dong fires back, exposing that Ji-sung steals content, posts fake reviews, and trashes movies he has never watched. Shanyo is furious at Gi-dong's disrespect. Wonso tries to calm everyone down and invites Ji-sung to leave with her, but he refuses. He tells her to go without him and admits he never wanted to be friends in the first place. In anger, he uses his power to launch Shanyo's drink cart at Gi-dong, but Wonso stops him just in time. Frustrated and done with the fighting, Shanyo tells them all to stay away from each other, at least for now. On his way home, Jongmin is furious because Wonso has not answered his calls or messages. He had to visit the police station, hospital, and more just to find out where she was. At the same time, he expresses his dislike for Wonso's new friends, calling them a bad influence. Already upset from their earlier argument, Wonso finally loses her patience. She tells him she has no friend because he is always trying to control her. Feeling tired and frustrated, she quickly leaves the dojo. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Shanyo drops off a drink package for a patient. Outside, she crosses paths with Miran, the patient's wife. Years ago, Shanyo had attempted the unthinkable, and Miran's husband suffered severe burns while saving her. Now Miran still carries that pain. She coldly tells Shanyo that it would have been better if she had died that day. Elsewhere, Chunhwa fails to capture the superhuman but uses her assistant's video to finally convince Dr. Song Nun that her story is true. She urges him to begin research immediately, promising that if he succeeds, his reputation will soar. The next morning, Won-so meets Ji-sung at their usual hangout and asks if he regrets what happened. She says she understands why he acted the way he did and hopes they can end things on good terms. Ji-sung quietly admits that he feels guilty about everything he said the night before. At the same time, Yakshan meets with the construction manager to discuss proper safety measures after the recent accident. However, the manager dismisses his concerns. To the manager, building Yangchun Sanctuary is more important than following safety rules. Later, Won-so, Shanyo, and Gi-dong gather outside Yangchun's building. Thanks to intel from Gi-dong, they have tracked another heart transplant recipient. They're waiting for Ji-sung to join them before going inside. Suddenly, an explosion shakes the underground section of the building, and panic spreads. Yakshan yells for everyone to evacuate, warning that more blasts might follow. However, one worker, Min-jae, becomes trapped behind an auto-lock door. Yakshan refuses to give up and tries everything to free him. That is when Won-so breaks open the first door. The second door is more difficult to open. Gi-dong uses his power to unlock it with a snap, but the room is flooded with CO2 gas, making it impossible to enter. Just in time, Ji-sung arrives and manages to pull Min-jae out. However, Ji-sung and Gi-dong argue. Shanyo, fed up, loses her temper, sending a chill through the group and forcing them to regroup. Min-jae is finally rescued by Won-so and Ji-sung, but his condition is critical from gas exposure. Seeing no other option, Yakshan uses his healing power in front of everyone, but the effort drains him completely. He collapses and begins to bleed, dehydrated from the energy cost. Gi-dong then rushes off to find water. Amid the chaos, Shanyo panics and her power finally awakens. She discovers that she can connect with superhumans, transferring energy or aiding recovery. It is a rare, unexpected ability and definitely the one that could change everything. As the group tries to exit the building, Gi-dong falls behind, casually sipping a drink, unaware that the building is unsafe. Disoriented and alone, Gi-dong panics when he realizes he is lost. He uses his power to search for an exit, but instead of finding a way out, he accidentally triggers the stage lights. The bright beams bring back painful memories of his past as a bullied student. Realizing Gi-dong has not come out, Yakshan, Won-so, and Shanyo return inside to find him. Ji-sung, who had intended to leave first, hesitates. Inside, the CO2 levels make breathing nearly impossible. Ji-sung races back just in time, finds Gi-dong gasping for air, and performs artificial respiration to keep him alive. Later, the five regroup at a restaurant. Yakshan formally introduces himself. After receiving a heart transplant, he gained the power to heal any injury or illness caused by trauma, but the cost is intense pain, and he needs water to recover after each use. Shanyo calls him a real hero. The mood lightens when they decide to create superhero nicknames. Shanyo suggests goofy names, but everyone embraces them. For the first time, Won-so feels like she belongs, finally surrounded by friends she can count on. That evening, Won-so returns home and sees her father struggling to change a car tire. She steps in to help, careful not to reveal her superhuman strength.
하니까 네가 꼬부랑 할머니가 돼도
The next morning, Yakshan heads to the hospital for a checkup. In the elevator, he unexpectedly runs into Yangchun. Overwhelmed, Yakshan shows respect to the man he considers as life's inspiration. Yangchun notices the tattoo on Yakshan's wrist and realizes another transplant recipient has developed powers. He is pleased. Outside his construction job, Yakshan works nights as a driver. That night, he picks up one of Chunhwa's henchmen. Yakshan is drugged and wakes up in an operating room with Chunhwa and Dr. Song Nun standing over him. Chunhwa plans to steal Yakshan's heart for herself. Before the operation, Dr. Song Nun secretly contacts Yangchun. When Yangchun arrives, he tries to drain Yakshan's lifespan by hand, but it fails. As another organ recipient, Yakshan is immune to direct power theft. Yangchun settles for a minor surgery to extract a fragment of Yakshan's heart. Chunhwa, furious that her plan was foiled, immediately orders her enforcer, Zhao, to find the remaining 4 transplant recipients. Her goal is to surpass her father's power. Soon, Chunhwa's team fans out. They quickly capture Ji-sung while he is alone, then seize Gi-dong and Shanyo during a drink sale. However, Won-so is not an easy target. Her enhanced strength makes her a different kind of threat. Back at home, Jong-min learns his daughter is in danger. Without hesitation, he confronts the gangsters head-on. What he does not see is Won-so in the shadows, using her strength to secretly fight by his side. Elsewhere, Gi-dong wakes up restrained. A device on his hand prevents him from snapping his fingers, cutting off access to his powers. In the next room, Shanyo pleads with the guards, insisting they have made a mistake. Ji-sung lies unconscious, hooked to a machine pumping a mix of oxygen and anesthesia to keep him sedated and powerless. Meanwhile, Chunhwa lashes out at Dr. Song-nun, demanding to know what her father promised him that led to this betrayal. She accuses the doctor of siding with the older generation instead of supporting the youth who have longer futures ahead. Dr. Song-nun only laughs and then points her toward the operating room. There, Chunhwa is stunned. Her father, Yang Chun, now looks younger and stronger after absorbing part of Yakshon's heart. Later, Yang Chun returns home to clean up. But midway through his shower, he feels dizzy. His power pulls him into a strange dimension. In that realm, all the transplant tattoos converge into a symbol matching Shanyo's mark. From the center, a shadowy creature begins to form, as if reclaiming the source of Yang Chun's powers. Back on Earth, Yang Chun's followers gather in his hall, seeking healing and offering worship. Before stepping on stage, Yang Chun questions Chunhwa. He demands the locations of the remaining transplant recipients, knowing she has been hiding them. With no other option, Chunhwa reveals their whereabouts. Yang Chun moves quickly. He storms the building where the others are being held. The guard try to stop him, unaware of who they are dealing with. But Yang Chun's power, known as Sai-din, is unstoppable. Meanwhile, Gi-dong attempts to send a message. Unable to use his hands, he starts snapping his toes repeatedly. After thousands of tries, it works. A signal reaches Won-so, alerting her that he and the others have been kidnapped. Not long after, the guard prepare to move Gi-dong to the operating table. But before they can proceed, Gi-dong hacks the security system and unlocks the cell doors for Shanyo and Ji-sung. Still, his panic grows. He begs them not to take his corneas, explaining he was blind for years. However, Yang Chun has no interest in Gi-dong's past suffering. He only wants his power. Meanwhile, Won-so prepares to go after her friends. Jong-min sees her determination and steps in, warning her about hanging out with troublemakers. But instead of stopping her, he makes a decision. Wherever she is going, he will go too. Hearing this, Won-so feels reassured. As long as her father does not know about her powers, she can protect him while saving her friends. Elsewhere, Shanyo wakes up first and drags Ji-sung with her to track down Gi-dong. Meanwhile, Yang Chun, having taken just one of Gi-dong's corneas, gains access to his full power. Now he can literally see wireless signals around him. Gi-dong regains consciousness and is surprised to find Yakshon nearby. Desperate, he asks for help, but Yakshon is weak and low on water. She transfers a small amount of healing energy to stabilize him. At the Shai Shan meeting hall, Yang Chun's followers fill the space, chanting and awaiting his arrival. When the ceremonial chair rises, silence falls. A young man is seated where their old god should be. Confused murmurs spread. Yang Chun quickly addresses them through their phones, explaining he has achieved immortality. He admits the transformation is drastic, but assures them it is the work of divine power. Those who follow him will live forever. Still sensing doubt, Yang Chun decides to prove himself. He steps forward and begins healing people. He restores movement to the paralyzed, cures congenital disorders, and treats burn victims. The crowd erupts, they believe. Now, more than ever, they want Yang Chun as their god. Not long after, Jong-min and Won-so made their way through an open entrance into the building where the others had been held. Yang Chun immediately sensed their arrival. What they did not expect was that the large chamber lay just beneath the meeting hall filled with Yang Chun's worshippers. Yang Chun appeared and calmly introduced himself, but Won-so felt something was wrong. Before he could shake her father's hand, she struck first with a swift kick. Yang Chun, now furious, brushed off the attack. Jong-min, insulted on his daughter's behalf, tried to defend her, but was knocked aside with a single powerful blow. Won-so caught him before he hit the ground. Moments later, Ji-sung and Shanyo arrived and demanded to know where Gi-dong and Yakshon were. Yang Chun revealed that he had absorbed Gi-dong's powers and claimed both of their friends were already lost to him. The battle escalated, Despite their teamwork, the trio could not keep up. Yang Chun's counterattack overwhelmed them. He then tried to take Shanyo's ability and discovered that her power allowed him to claim all abilities without needing organ transplants. Just as he prepared to absorb it fully, Gidong's revived scream distracted him. Wonso seized the moment and struck hard. Yang Chun declared that only two things had ever mattered to him: reclaiming his youth and becoming a god. He even mocked his own followers, calling them fools. That broke Yakshan. Recently recovered, he was furious. He had sacrificed everything for Yang Chun, even leaving his family to serve him. Yet Yang Chun showed no remorse. He was determined to steal all 6 organs and reach godhood, warning them to surrender or face destruction. The fight reignited. The 5 pushed back with everything they had. Statues crumbled, the hall began collapsing, and Gidong was thrown back into memories of the accident that had damaged his corneas. One by one, Yang Chun defeated them. Even Wonso was nearly killed by a devastating blow. Watching them fall, Shanyo appeared ready to give in. She offered her power willingly, but it was a trick. While Yang Chun focused on her, Shanyo quietly redirected his healing energy into Wonso's body. Rejuvenated, Wonso stood again and launched a barrage of powerful strikes, forcing Yang Chun to the edge of defeat. With him down, the group realized the energy was surging uncontrollably through the statues above, threatening to destroy the entire hall and everyone inside. Gidong stepped forward because only he could stop it. He asked the others to transfer their powers to him, and they agreed. As their energy flowed into him, Gidong hesitated, haunted by his past. But when he looked up, his friends were still standing by him. With renewed resolve, he channeled all the energy and shut down the system. It worked. The danger was neutralized, and the group began transferring the powers back to their original bodies. Just then, Yang Chun reappeared, trying to hijack the energy one last time. But Jiang Min intervened. With a sudden kick, he knocked Yang Chun to the ground, halting the transfer. The disruption caused Yang Chun's body to begin aging rapidly. Before he could vanish entirely, Yakshan gave him just enough healing to keep him alive, not out of mercy, but so he could finally face judgment from the followers he had deceived. Later, the 5 sat on the stairs, reflecting on everything they had been through. They were proud of what they had accomplished, but Shanyo still was not satisfied. They needed a name, something cool like Avengers or Justice League. With a grin, she gave them all a high five. As the credits roll, we see Minra staring in disbelief as her husband stands fully recovered. It was Yakshan, quietly sent by Shanyo, who had healed him behind the scenes. The end. So the moral of the story is, if you suddenly get superpowers from organ transplants, try not to let your dad control your whole life, or your enemies will catch you off guard and your team will argue like it's a reality show.